Yesterday afternoon, while episode 341 was uploading, I came back out here and I took a little paintbrush. It was probably my widest modeling brush. I guess it'd be about a little better than 1/4 of an inch wide, but it was just the right width to go up and down every railing. And the idea being is, I thought if there's any bubbles that have formed on the railing, the bubble is going to keep the vinegar from reacting on the brass. And anyway, I flipped them over and I did the same thing on the other side. And now there's another thought. Will the brass make my vinegar poisonous? I'm going to have to Google that. Hey, Cortana. Will putting brass metal in vinegar make the vinegar poisonous?
I pulled up some videos for you.
Okay, let's see what she's called up here. Polished copper, polished brass, how to age brass, jewelry. Doesn't say anything about vinegar becoming poisonous. You would think Cortana would know. She knows everything. Well, it's about 21 hours ago that we first put this stuff in here. I don't know if I needed to put this plastic wrap over top or not, but I did anyway. I notice now that when I take this off, I can smell the vinegar. I don't know if vinegar fumes are harmful for you or not. And I'm not noticing any difference. No, there's got to be a difference, obviously. I hope this vinegar's not going to hurt the shrink wrap on Tony's tweezers here. So the idea is I'm going to pour the vinegar back into my container, being as I couldn't find anything, that indicated that brass will make the vinegar poisonous. Now, I don't use vinegar that much for consumption anyway, but the only time I use vinegar is when I want to dilute down my ketchup in the ketchup bottle so that I can get the last little bit out. Otherwise, I don't use vinegar. In fact, this jug of it here, I think that probably goes back to, when was the last time I had that? I think it's when I was making homemade weed killer. Anyway, we'll get these rinsed off really, really good, and then I'll blow them off with the airbrush. And okay. I guess the next time we'll see you will probably be in the paint booth when we try to spray these here. I have just finished rinsing these off under the tap with running water, thoroughly. There is no vinegar on them, or very little. Anyway, the idea being here is I want to get the water droplets off so that I can not worry about having, residue of water, if there's such a thing. Well, yeah, there is, watermarks. And I know there's no end to this. I suppose I could have soaked them in 99% alcohol isopropyl in order to, absorb the water. But, there's no end to it. Then there's going to be the residue of the isopropyl. I think I've gone about as far as I'm going to go here. What you're seeing me do here, I actually did twice. In other words, I sprayed one way, swung them around, sprayed the other way, then I moved on to the next sheet and did the same thing. And then I let them dry a little bit, and I did it all again. So you might say that, parts of it actually have 4 coats. Then I flipped them over and did the whole thing again. And as you're going to hear me mention, it took me a lot longer than I thought it would. This took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to. I was having problems with my airbrush quitting on me. I had to do a lot of back flushing, and once I had to dump the paint out and run some isopropyl through it. I don't know what was going on there. I eventually got it, but I'm imagining I took about an hour. I think the only way we can tell how well this came out is if we actually remove one of these railings from the sprue, or whatever they call it when it's metal, and take a close look. We'll put the macro lens on and have a nice look at the railing. Another thing, in order to be sure that I actually got the individual railings, I just had to make sure that the entire area was painted over. I think I got it. The other sides look just as good as this. Now, before I started spraying these rails, I had thought that it wouldn't matter which way you put these rails on the deck. I thought either one could be the top rail or the bottom rail, but then I looked at it closely, and you'll notice there are little, you might say, bumps. So at first I thought, okay, that must be the bottom, and that would be where where the rail would mount on the deck. Maybe I should be using a different magnification here so that you can see it. But then afterwards I thought, well, no, maybe this is supposed to be the top rail, and these little bumps represent some sort of part of the bracket of the real rail. I was thinking, let's look at Stefan's book and see if we can find anything that shows that. In the meantime, maybe I'll see if we can't just zoom in on this so I can show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, we are zoomed in. Now, is this the top rail or is this the bottom rail? These little bumps here. That's what I was talking about. And right here, where I have to nip it off, I have to nip off very carefully that I don't accidentally take off the the little bump. Or fitting. We'll call it a fitting. It sounds better. Okay, I found them. It's in the fittings section, which makes a whole lot of sense. And all it is chain strung between posts. It's just sort of a glorified fence that you'd put around the farm to keep the cows in. And the idea would be that you wouldn't fall overboard. And basically that's all you need on a battleship. I mean, it's not like a cruise ship where you're going to sit there with your arms on the rail and look at the sunset. I'll move in on this section right here. Very clearly our line drawing shows that it is chain. And these little brackets here supposed to be those bumps that are on the bottom of my model railing. Here they are here. Okay, I may as well try and get 2 at the same time here. Now we're going to want to go as close as we can to the post. Now these are the ones that have the little part that I don't want to nip off, so I have to go right up against it. There we go. And the next tab. You know what? I think I scratched the paint off. In fact, I don't think I did. I know I did. Oh, I forgot to do the other railing. You know what? Maybe I better just get these nipped off and we'll look at them after. Well, folks, what we see here is what we get. Let's see if maybe I can't flip one of these over and we'll look at it from the other side. I just picked a sheet at random here when I nipped these off. So, anyway, I think the paint turned out pretty good. As long as I don't scratch it off. It'll be interesting to see what happens when I try to shape it. Is it going to chip off or, peel off? Or, well, I guess we'll know because we got to start putting those railings on. What do you think? Should I have the bumps on the top of the railing or on the bottom of the railing? If they hold it up off of the deck, it's going to be harder to glue the bottom rail to the deck, because that's what's going to hold the railing on, is all the way along the whichever rail I choose. Anyway, thanks for watching. All being well, we'll see you tomorrow.